Ismaïl Lazaar walked in like a low-slung tank, rumbling forward with the certainty of someone who's never needed anyone's permission to be dangerous. Across from him stood Daniel Sam, the African Terminator, sculpted, towering, built. Like the blueprint, the opening bell sounded and Lazaar didn't warm up, he erupted. He drove Sam backward on contact, heavy hooks skidding off guard and cheekbones alike, each thump announcing that whatever the weigh-in suggested, this fight would be managed on Lazaar's terms. Sam tried to plant, to answer with posture and pedigree. It didn't matter. Lazaar marched through the tidy combinations, through the textbook counters, through the idea that this was supposed to be about aesthetics. He clipped Sam clean, watched the big man's legs argue with gravity, and finished the argument with one final emphatic right hand. The bodybuilder's silhouette crumpled against the harsh reality of what lands and what hurts. The tank rolled. On they say kings are chosen. Vyacheslav Datsik prefers to depose them. With a resume littered with the names of giants, Alexander Emelianenko, Antonio Bigfoot Silva, Datsik took the center against Kofi King and began stripping the crown with both fists. There was no ceremony, only sabotage, a jab like a stun gun, a right hand like a descending garage door. King's replies found shoulders, forearms, air. Datsik's replies found everything else. When the finish came, it was both sudden and inevitable. Chin spun, throne empty, a new proclamation echoing in the rafters. Long live the man who doesn't fit the mold. Chris Huggy Bear Barnett is a walking subversion, joy and ferocity stitched into one human. He fights like a heavyweight hummingbird, then celebrates like the world's happiest sledgehammer. Against Travis Wolf, a granite post of a man, Barnett spent the first minutes learning the scaffolding, hand fighting in the clinch. Denying smothering grips, refusing to be carried to the floor and buried there. He exhaled, adjusted, and when round 2 arrived, so did the artillery. A short, shocking detonation lifted Wolf off his axis, and Barnett chased him down with a thundering flurry until mercy stepped between them. The final act was uniquely his, a jubilant belly dance in the center of the storm he'd created, crowd roaring for a heavyweight who fights like a cruiser and parties like a folk hero. Not every upset needs a symphony. Some require only a single perfect note. Dragan Janjan looked like a middleweight who'd taken the scenic route through fight week. Kevin Walter looked like a statue come to life. All clean lines and coiled power. Walter started fast, electricity in his shoulders, combinations snapping like live wires. Janjan read him like code. A slip here, a half step there, and then the gap, tiny, treacherous, just enough. The counter detonated as if he'd unsheathed the thunderbolt, and the muscled favorite went limp, tumbling out of a highlight and into a hard lesson. One clean shot, one clean truth. You can lift every day and still not be able to lift your chin off the floor. Bob Sapp, the muscle mountain infamous for chaos and theatrics, found himself staring at Alexander Lung, a man whose mass promised gravity and whose fists promised aftershocks. Sapp strutted, Lungu stomped. The bell rang and Lungu lit him up with deliberate meanness. Nothing wasted, everything heavy. Sapp rose once, all defiance and adrenaline. It only prolonged the inevitable. Lungu's next barrage removed the question. Marks. The showman was horizontal, the ring felt smaller, and the crowd had the answer to the only question that mattered. Who hits harder, not who looks like he might. And then there's Roy Nelson, the cult classic. The mullet, the belly, the overhand right that should come with a weather warning. Nelson's career has always been a parable about outcomes over optics. He doesn't pass body composition tests, he passes chin checks on your behalf. Set him across from a muscle sculpture like Dylan Clare, and you can almost hear the lazy math begin. Youth plus bulk equals victory. Except Claire's fast start was a sprint toward a cliff. He poked the bear, and the bear brought a hammer. Nelson found his range, found his rhythm, and found Claire's temple. With that notorious arc of doom, one clean clout, Mjolnir in 4 ounce, gloves, and the weight room's favorite son folded like a lawn chair in a windstorm. The lesson rolled away on a slow grin. Cardio can be counted, chins can be measured, but timing is witchcraft. This rogues gallery of unlikely heroes doesn't invalidate discipline, it vandalizes assumptions. Yes, camps matter. Yes, strength and conditioning, breath work, and careful fuel count. But fights are decided in the half-lit places science struggles to quantify. Punch resistance, stubbornness, the unteachable habit of standing 1 inch closer than comfort recommends. The men who win from the wrong body rarely do so by accident. They carry thousands of grimy rounds in empty warehouses, years of bad sparring in bad air with good coaches who don't post on Instagram. They carry a refusal to fit into weight classes neatly, into narratives cleanly, into other men's ideas about who deserves to win. Watch the patterns. Lazaar's forward pressure wasn't a plod, it was a calculus of space. Datsuk's chaos. Hyde's systems, a jab that frames, a right that punishes predictable returns. Barnett's knockouts are born from footwork most overlooked because they're laughing, then they're not. Janjan's one-hitter quitter came from reading tempo like a professional thief reads a room. Lungu didn't chase, he cornered Nelson. Didn't reach. He waited for the exact moment impatience in the other man became participation in his own demise. If you're here only for the flex, these bouts will feel like glitches in the Matrix. If you're here for the craft, they'll feel like gospel. Muscles are potential. Power is the act of converting intention into impact again and again when lungs burn and lactic acid makes promises your mind refuses to keep. That conversion doesn't care about how your torso photographs. It cares what your knuckles remember. And yes, there's theater. There's Barnett's dance, the joyful rebellion of a heavyweight celebrating with the body the sport keeps insisting he should change. There's the quiet swagger in Nelson's walk-off, the sense that he's seen this movie and already knows the ending. There's Lazaar's bulldozer energy, Datsuk's villain grin, Lungu's glacial certainty. Each finish is a sentence written in punctuation marks. Each entrance is an argument, each exit is a verdict. The line that runs through all of them is simple and savage. Fights aren't decided in mirrors. They're decided where two people meet in violent conversation and one interrupts the other more convincingly. These men interrupted loudly, so let's turn it over to you. Which upset hit you hardest? Who's your favorite doesn't look the part finisher? And what other heavy-handed outliers do you want to see us break down next? Drop your takes in the comments.